I think product management is knowing what to do, knowing how to get it done, and getting it done without having authority. So once you know what to do, how to do it, and then getting it done with influence and not authority, you can say what you are doing is product management, regardless of what field you are in. Users don't speak technology, they speak emotions. Design is the language we use to communicate the product to the user.
Is it essential for someone to start as a product designer before transitioning into a product manager's role?
Product managers come from a multiplicity of backgrounds. People that were engineers before they became product managers are now called technical product managers. People that were in MBA before that became product managers will now become more of like very, very, very good at optimizing metrics, right? People that were in psychology before becoming product managers can understand and empathize with users better than most people can, right? People that were designers before can understand and empathize with most users the way non-designers will. Hello, everyone. I am Kachi Dominic, and you are listening to Design Illustration podcast with Ufot Uban. Design plus illustration equals design illustration.
Hello, everyone. You're welcome back to another episode on Design Illustration podcast. And today I have an amazing guest. This is someone who gave me the rarest opportunity. I'm going to do a brief introduction on this particular guest before I introduce him by his name. So one of the very first times I posted, I think that was 2016 in 2023. Sorry, 2023 on this June 2023. Sorry, I posted one of my product design screens on Twitter, and this amazing fellow reached out to me in the DM asking if I would love to if I would want to take up a role as a product designer. Actually, I think I was as a lead product designer, and I was very nervous because I don't have anything like a portfolio in UI UX design, nothing at all. And I told him, I said, I don't have anything at all. And he was like, okay, no problem. Would I be willing to do up a tax? And I also did the tax. And I did not, with the user flow, I did not do quite a good job with explaining the whole thing. And he was so kind enough to tell me that he would be willing to hop on a call with me to show me where I went wrong with the project. And after that, he still brought me on board as a product designer on a different gig. And that was one so kind thing that anyone has ever done for me in my design career. He's no other person than the incredible Kachi Dominic. He is the senior designer at Norebase. Dominic, thank you very much for being on this podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much. Senior product manager, actually.
Product manager. Sorry, product manager. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for the kind introduction. Really,
thank you. I really appreciate that thing you did for me. It's so, I mean, you touched my heart. Thank you.
Oh, it's nothing. If you put yourself out there, opportunities will come. Some of them will be good, some of them not so good. I'm just lucky. I was one of the ones that had an opportunity I could share when you were putting your work out there. But I really, really liked seeing your work, especially because I always have this thing that design is about product storytelling. So people that can illustrate as well as design always have an advantage because we are able to like convey things in pretty much ways that are not conventional, because almost every illustration is new, but not every design is new in a way. So that's what I thought at that point, and I'm glad I was not wrong. It came through and everything. Yeah.
Thank you. Kachi, do you mind sharing a bit about your background and how you entered into the field of product management?
Oh, yes, for sure. I think my foray into product management was almost accidental. in a way, because I didn't even know that what I was doing was product management until 2, 3 years into doing it, right? That was when I
Wow.
discovered that, oh, all these things I'm doing has a collective name for all of it. It's called product management in a way. So I think I always had wanted to be in business, but I didn't know I was going to be in a technology business. My dad was a trader, and so I thought like that was going to be my path in business. And the entire thing all changed around 2017, 2018. I was talking with my sister, and that was like what led to my first startup as a then Akede. And then I found out that my niece did not have children's books that she could read, African children's books that she could read. When I tried to buy, I also could not buy. So an idea came to me that if she did not have it and she did not have access to it, then a lot of other black children everywhere else may not have had access to these types of things. So we should probably build a platform where people can come and share these stories, and then black children all around the world can come and experience these stories. So I never quite thought of it as a product management. I thought of it as a problem, and since problem solving was something I was good at, I knew I had the pieces to solve the problem. Right? I had a friend that was a designer,
Mhm.
Tolu. I also had a friend that was an incredible programmer, Fanan. I also had a friend that could build apps or not, right? And I knew exactly what I
Yeah.
wanted to build. So what we did, I think even for the first one, we did not design it. We just sketched it on the paper, and our friend went and built it out, right? So what I did was like, since I knew everybody, I got everybody on board and I convinced them that this was something worth investing their times in. Then we were in school, so they took it like a project, like a fun project. We started off, and then when we released the first stories and they kind of like started getting some attention, and was like, wow, so this was what really happened. So my foray into product management was not like I saw product management, I wanted to join, or I went and took a course. I just started building products, right? And since I did not,
Yeah.
I knew how to code a little because I was reading engineering then, and it was part of the course curriculum. But it was not something that always interested me in the way that would have in other things that made me build depth in. So I didn't just quite build. What I had to build was the ability to influence people without having direct authority over them, which became consequential in the way I did product management later in my career, right? So I had to convince
Mhm.
Fanan to invest his time, I had to convince Tolu to invest his time, I had to convince Onot, and a bunch of other people that played minor and major roles in the entire operations to like invest some of their skills and effort in some way. And that ability to join everybody together and collaborate everybody together in order to like move something from a vision to a usable product was my first experience with product management. And I didn't know it was called product management until someone asked me who was the product manager on Arcadia. And I'm like, wait, what's a product manager?
Wow. Okay.
Right? Then they explained, I'm like, oh, I guess I was, but what I was calling myself then was CEO. So I said,
Wow.
I guess I am the product manager on this. So I never quite had any formal training until then. And then when someone mentioned it at then, now that I had the keyword of what they were calling it, that was when I started looking at it, researching the internet. I don't think I took any course, but I started reading a lot of books from like quite some of them are product books, some of them are non-product books, but in a wide variety of areas, I was able to like get through and finally arrive at being called a product manager. And funny enough, I was not called a product manager in that startup I did. It was later on after I finished school. My first job out of school was to build a product for someone that had employed me, wanted to build a real estate firm, and I was there for about 8 months before I left and I joined Norebase. So yeah, it was that's pretty much my foray in product. It was an accident. It was out of love for my niece. It was because
Wow.
I wanted to solve a problem for every other girl like my niece, and at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I built a skill while doing it, and I'm glad I did actually because it
Wow.
fits my skill sets perfectly.
Wow. Just wow. To be honest, right? I have also I've been privileged to have conversation with designers, illustrators on this podcast, and one of the uh, one thing that remains constant, a constant factor in top skill designers and creatives that I've been privileged to converse with, is the fact that they were already doing the craft without even knowing it was the craft, just like you. you
Yeah.
mentioned, right? You saw a problem, and you had guys. And while you were talking, I was thinking, how did you even? What was the convincing power that you? How did you convince your friends and others to subscribe to your vision? I mean, what would you have said? That was quite captivating to convert people to subscribe, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful having that that kind of start where it's not necessarily I'm going into this niche, and it's not a bad thing either when people go into the niche as per I'm wanting to make a career for myself or for the money. It's not necessarily a bad thing,
No, it's not.
but
It's not. It's
yeah,
just
but also looking at it like I was curious, I saw a problem, and I went looking for a solution, and it led me here. I love those stories. I do.
yeah.
I do. And from these things you've described right now, how would you best define product management?
I think product management is knowing what to do, knowing how to get it done, and getting it done without having authority, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, I think you can define it like that, and then it will span across almost any product that is a non-tech product. I
Yeah.
believe that the act of product management or product development in all and all. I think in recently we've limited it to tech so much that we tend to lose sight of where the solutions are not even technical, right? So I
Yeah.
think any product management skill developed in tech is applicable anywhere else. So once you know what to do, how to do it, and then getting it done with influence and not authority, you can say what you are doing is product management, regardless of what field you are in. But if you are now in technology, you have to know what to do, how to do, and getting it done without authority within the framework of an organization and in a way that
Yeah.
creates value for the users, right? Now you now have
Yeah.
to balance a couple of things. You now have to care about the impact you are creating for the users. You now have to care about the value you are creating for the business. And then you now have to care about the capacity of the technology you are using to execute the vision you want to execute, right? So
Yeah.
products are only possible in technology when those three things align. If you have the customer and the business, but you don't have the technology, then you don't have a solution because technology is the medium of delivery for the solution. If you have the business and the technology and you don't have the user, what you are going to have is a money burner, right? Because no one is going to pay for it and you're going to keep on
Yeah.
convincing yourself that it's the right thing to build. If you have something that works for a user and then you have the technology to deliver it, but it cannot create value for a business, then what you have is probably an NGO, right? Because the only way it's going to
Mhm.
keep staying alive is if people donate, right? But if users can pay for it, then automatically they bestow upon it the ability to like be sustainable over a long period of time. So product management is about finding that balance, right? How can I help the most people while creating the most value for a business while using the technology that is available to deliver it at the most optimum balance? And then what are the trade-offs? Because once you now have to balance between three people, you are going to have trade-offs. So how do you justify those trade-offs? How do you prioritize those trade-offs? And what is your cutoff for what the trade-off has to be in each of those roles? So yeah, if you define it that way, product management then now becomes the art. It's actually an art right now of balancing within all these priorities to ensure that you are creating value for both the business and the user in a way that is sustainable for both of them.
I love it. I love it. I love the way you explain. It's pretty detailed and just it's just up there and very classical. I love it. That's perfect. What does a typical day look like for you in your role as a product manager?
Um, First of all, meetings, right? I know everybody may hate meetings.
Meeting- Meetings, yeah.
Because as a product manager, you usually have the most context in the in of the product in the organization. So you might
Mhm.
not be the expert in every niche and nuance of the product, but you have the context, the most context on how everything comes together. If
Mm.
you do this, where does it impact? If you impact this, what is the implication on that? Right? Because you have that context, you have to have meetings, right? So you have meetings to align with management on vision to be sure that what you are building is what they want their business to build. You have with engineers and designers to align on execution to be sure that what they're executing is what the management told you to build, right? Not what the management told you to build as per the instruction on exactly what they build, but they usually have an opportunity to attack, and the thing you are solving should be working for the people in the market segments that you are trying to like solve, right? Then after doing that, things are usually blocked when you are working on projects, right? On execution. An engineer needs something, needs a clarification from something, or you get and you find out that your original plan has a comma here. Now you have to go and do some research to unblock that. So quite a number of my days spent on unblocking projects to ensure that they are delivered on time and within budget, obviously, and to ensure that they are also delivering the most value. Then there's writing. You write for documentation, you write for articulation, you write for clarity, and if you even write for yourself to have a better understanding of what you do. So it takes a lot of your, it takes a significant amount of your time to write. And as a product manager, you just have to write. Then there are talking to users and partners, right? It's not, for me, where I am right now, it's probably not something I do every day, but it's also something I try to. Very, very important that you talk to the users and that you are very, very, you are on the ground with. Then there's research and reading, obviously. You need to know about what's going on in your industry. You also need to know about what is getting possible in tech right now. So, okay, if there's generative AI now for text, what does it mean for your product? If there is generative AI now for illustration, what does it mean for your product, right? You need to be able to be aware of these technologies, how these technologies work, how to take them apart, right? And then what parts of and how you can articulate a new vision based on what's available. So when you articulate a vision, you articulate it based on what is technologically possible at a time. But what is technologically possible is something that changes very, very frequently, changes a lot. So to keep aware with what is possible, you have to be in the technology. And then once you see what's possible and you see that it redefines the experience for your users in a way that is more beneficial to them, it is your calling, it's your responsibility as a product manager to say, oh, I know that this solution I delivered to you before worked very, very well, but there's a potential to even go beyond what we've done before and do even more for you. So you have to do that. Then there is reviewing metrics and reading stuff from other PMs, right? Quite a number of people quite a number of things on your product that you want to track. Depending on what part of your product you're optimizing, what part of your product you are trying to like grow, your metrics can give you a task or two. So if you're estimating to grow a particular segment of your users by X percentage because you deployed Y feature and it's not growing, then there is now the work to go and troubleshoot and find out why is my hypothesis failing. Is it that the hypothesis is wrong, or is it that the execution of the hypothesis is wrong? So that kind of troubleshooting is what you do once you look at your performance, your review metrics and performance, and you try to troubleshoot. You can engage the help of an engineer, another product manager, a designer, talk to users, and basically find out what's going. And then there's then the general just solving problems for people, right? I think as a product manager, the way you grow the most influence is to be helpful to the people that you collaborate with, to the engineers to make their lives easier, to the users to make their lives easier, and by increasing those metrics that the organization cares about to deliver value for the organization, that's where you define your worth. So the ability to like just keep on the loop and make sure that each one of those things are working well is what you do. And then when all is done, you go back to begging engineers, of course.
Wow. I've always believed that every craft is hard. Like there's no skill setting that is as easy as one may seem or think of it to be, right? But then hearing you go from meetings, bringing contextual value to and clearly communicating, talking to users, research and reading, writing, understanding new text, reviewing metrics, solving problems in general. I mean, all of this together is wow. It's a lot.
Yes, and then you have to prioritize on the goal because everything I said
Prioritize,
has to be
yeah.
prioritized. And then with any information you get on the project, your prioritization may change. And if your prioritization is not correct, it might cost the organization money, or it might cost your users, it might cost you reputationally, or it might cost your users a good experience. So while doing all these things, you have to always keep in mind what's the most important thing and make sure that you're prioritizing those. So yeah, it's pretty much.
That's intense. That's intense. From your perspective as a product manager, how would you describe the role of a product designer? We're taking product management into tech now.
Mhm.
So how would you describe the role of a product designer?
I think product design is the way you communicate whatever you build to the user, right? And users don't speak technology, they speak emotions. And in
Hmm.
all the problem solving you do, if you don't communicate your solution in the language that your user can understand, then you failed. And that critical last bit of translating, oh, I am building a technology that can read the future and do everything into solving a simple problem, or I have a problem, can you solve it today in a way that makes it look beautiful? I think that's what a product designer do. So they are almost like what the interpreters, right? Because an engineer can do all the coding, solve all the technical problems in the world, but they don't directly communicate to the user, right? No, nobody has ever gone to a website and used command line tools, right? A product manager can articulate all the vision that they want to articulate in the world, but if nobody is there to communicate to the user that this is beautiful, this is new, this is important, this is a way to live your life, that everything you've known before about how you've interacted with this problem has been from a place of little imagination, and I'm bringing
Yeah.
an imagination that is going to supersede what you've already known. It's a very, very big responsibility, to be honest. And like I heard someone say it on Twitter that it is the responsibility of the team to make that argument to users, right? So, oh, I've built this cool thing, but if it does not feel cool to the user, they are not going to tell you it's cool. It's just going to be another boring thing on the internet, right? So the ability to go from, oh, we've articulated a way to do a generative AI to do blah, 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 of the blockchain, of the this, of the that, into I want to send my mom in Nigeria money. How does it feel like when I put my card on this? How does it feel like when I send that money? You understand? It's a very, very simple
Hmm.
problem statement, right? I want to send my mom in Nigeria money, but it's the job of the product manager and the designer to think of what are all the ways that that could go wrong, and what is the way you can use to assure the person that is using this project that, oh, no matter where they've been when navigating this problem, you've been there before, and then when they get there, you are going to guide them back to the path of like having that problem solved for them. So what are you going to do when there is no network? What are you going to do when there is network but NIBS is failing? What are you going to do when there's network, NIBS is failing, but there's no network on the other user's side? What are you going to do when there's no money on your own account? What are you going to do when there's money on your account, but your bank is not letting you take? So those are all the tiny, tiny places where that problem might fail, right? And each of them might fail 1% of the time. But by the time you aggregate all those problems and you're looking at 30 possible problem points, it can be significant. And everybody is talking about your service and you don't address all those things, right? They are going to be talking about 30 different things that are affecting about 30 people. Why in
Yeah.
fact most of your
Yeah.
service or the core of your service works, right? So there is the core work that you need to do. And then there's the auxiliary work that you need to do to communicate the core work you did to who you made it for. And that's the job of a product designer. You understand? It's that ability to reduce logic to empathy, to reduce vision to visual. You understand? And to
Hmm.
be able
Yeah.
to like go from idea to something someone can see, to be able to go from imagined beauty to like experienced beauty in a way. I think that's what designers do, literally the translators of the tech world. And in a lot of ways, without design, a lot of the impact we see that tech is making, it won't have made it. You understand? Because people are simply not wired to be doing command tools, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's the role of design, and that's why I love designers that take storytelling seriously. Also, why I love designers that have to have the mind to expand. Oh, I understand the logic of this product. I understand the mechanics of this product, but I also understand the feelings the person that's using this product is using.
Hmm.
You now have to be in all those buckets at once and then conjure something that the user will see and be delighted by, and the user will see and be excited by. So
Yeah.
it's a very, very big responsibility. I think it's a
Hmm.
very, very big responsibility. It looks like it has all been done, but every day when you take on even an old problem, you will see new ways where design could have been better, right? And
Hmm.
this across
Yeah.
all products, of course, it's not just any particular one. But it's a particularly hard job, but I also think it's a very, very important job to be done.
Hmm. I love what you said. Users don't speak tech; they speak emotions. Man, that stuck with me. I remember the time you hopped on a call to give me feedback on why that project the task I did not solve the problem in general. There was something you said to me like you love the way I started. You love the way I was using illustrations. And you said, see, even if you have to illustrate the whole page, go on to illustrate it. Like I was thinking that was how it was going to, because at the very first two screen, the illustrations were communicating, but then I started using tech language, so to speak. And this thing you said now that users don't speak tech, they speak emotions. It's just pretty much because in the end we're designing for people.
Yes.
We're designing for
And
the masses.
and it's very, very important to understand what people means. So when you say people, you're talking
Hmm.
about different types of people. So you are designing, obviously you understand the segment of the people yeah, focusing it in. But even within a defined segment, there are variations. You understand? If you say that your product is for young people, right? Good.
Yeah.
Young people living in Lagos, good. Young people living in Lagos. Young people living in Lagos between the ages of 18 and 21, good. Young people living in Lagos within the ages of 21. It looks like a narrow enough segment, but if you start interrogating that segment, you see that it's also a group with multiplicity of experiences, and your design has to
Mm.
appear at a place where all those experiences kind of like intersect. You understand? So,
Yeah.
like we say, there's no way to make money that is easy. Sha. Everyone is hard. Everything is
Hmm.
everything is hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is it essential for someone to start as a product designer before transitioning into a product manager's role? Is it one of the basic requirements?
I know some people will say yes, but I don't think so. I think what is important as a product manager is having an understanding of what a good and successful design looks like. Even if you are on generally, every product manager should have a very, very good eye for
Mm.
design, should be able to create design, should be able to understand design, and should be able to
Eye
empathize
for
with design.
design. Yeah.
That's I think that one is a requirement. You're not running away from it. If you're a product manager and you don't understand design, like I said, design is the language we use to communicate the product to the
Yeah.
user. If you don't understand that language, then how do you know that you are communicating the right thing to the user, right? If anything goes, then how do you know when something is correct or when something is wrong? So design is important in that knowing design in that way is important. But that being said, product managers come from a multiplicity of backgrounds, and each of those backgrounds have had different manifestations in product that we've seen to be helpful, right? People that were engineers before they became product managers are now called technical product
Yeah.
managers. Is that they can then work with engineers to like go through what are the nicks and
Yeah.
hacks of
Yeah.
going through this API product to like ship it before people that were in MBA before that became product managers will now become more of like very, very, very good at optimizing metrics, right? People that were in psychology before becoming product managers can understand and empathize with users better
Hmm.
than most people can, right? People that were designers before can understand and empathize with most users the way
Right.
non-designers will, but they might start like they might have to like pick up skills maybe in like people management, pick up skills in like understanding the math behind metrics, pick up maybe a bit of mathematical skills to be able to like
Hmm.
make inferences and like make extrapolations from data or be able to like cite patterns in data. So I don't think there's any one requirement. I think product management is one of those fields where any background you come with will give you an advantage over another product manager in a way. It is now your responsibility to work on the skills that you know are important that you don't have, right? So if
Yeah.
you're a product designer before and you became a product manager, fantastic. What it means now is that you understand very, very well what good design and what workable design is. You understand what empathy is. You understand all those things. Then what you should be asking yourself is what are the skills I don't have now that I need as a product manager to do? The same thing with people that move from engineering. The same thing with people that move from a business background, from consulting background. Sure, I see people move from from all manner of things into
Yeah.
product management. And because you build products in
Hmm.
all manner of industries, you might be needed in exactly. So you see, for instance, now. Building Figma, it's unlikely that the people at Figma do not have at least five, seven people that were top designers in their former careers before in their current product team, right? So it just depends on the type of products you are building and who you are building it for. I think any background, literally any background you think possible, can switch to products and still have something unique and to do there that actually allows us build deeper understanding of the entire field in general.
Yeah, I love that because I really love how you answered it because it also shifts the the view from seeing product managers as only those who manage product in tech, right? It shifts that view as well because if they're coming from non-technical background as well, and various any background you're coming from can give you an advantage over another in one way, and the focus point should be on what I don't know and what I can know to help better my my role. That's beautiful. And what would you say are some common misconceptions that people have about the roles of product managers?
You are not the CEO of the product. You don't have that. You don't. You don't have that kind of autonomy most times. The CEO
Mhm,
tells you what the constraints are, and then you do the best innovation you can do within those constraints, right? If you see
mm,
a product manager that is the CEO of the product, then it's probably a CEO that is also doubling as a product manager, right? So obviously, it's not project management because project management requires you to innovate on your own. It requires you to see a vision, even if you are seeing those visions within organizational constraints. Still requires you to see what most people don't see. So I don't think it's project management. I think project management is a core skill in product management, but cannot say that product management is a
mm,
skill in project management because in project management the ends are usually defined, but in product management the ends are not defined. You define the ends and then you define what success looks like at the end, and then you also know that both definitions might be wrong. So you have to have a plan for how do I find out when I'm wrong and stop wasting money and time on the same way. You understand? So because of
yeah.
the fact that the ends are not clearly defined in product management, it makes it a lot more dynamic than say projects. Uh, you are not a feature builder. You do a lot more than that, to be honest. In short, a lot of the time is optimizing the features you've built before, more than adding new things to those features. But yeah, I think those are the common misconceptions I can think of.
Mm, that's good. And I know you've actually touched on it. You've mentioned it, especially when you were talking about your background into product management. You've touched on it, but I would love for you to tell us some qualities, specific qualities that someone should actually have before venturing into product management.
Resilience, because you see Shige, right? Resilience.
Resilience.
Resilience. I think that's one of the most important qualities. Your engineers will tell you that something is not possible. Def.
Mm,
Right?
mhm,
It's your job to convince them that it's possible, not with mouths, but with actual information and data. You show them someone that has done it before, or you know what is possible with when you combine two or three technologies and you see this, right? When you sometimes text people and they don't reply, you're supposed to text and text again. You call people and they don't pick, probably supposed to call and call again. You are going to run into problems that look like they don't have answers. You're supposed to stay on it until you figure something out. Sometimes you're going to need something that is just a lot of grunt work to do. It might not be the work that
mm,
you enjoy. You just have to sit down there, sit in stamina, and then brute force your way through the work. So it's resilience, and then there is sheer force of will. You understand? You have to believe that you can do something, and then nothing can stop you from doing that thing. Not one no, not two no's, not three no's down the road. You understand? When you believe that something is
mhm.
possible, you have to be able to like see it to the end.
Yeah,
You understand? And
yeah.
then you have to be a fast learner, but fast learner better. You have to learn how to learn, and you have to know how to be able to like get on the team easy. Then I think finally you have to be able to influence people, know what is important to people, know how you can be helpful to people, be in their lives in a way that you are influential. You can get them to do things without asking them or using force or authority to like do things. I'm talking about these high level things because those are the things you need actually. I think each person has an expression of being a product manager, and a lot of product managers will get the job done in their own way, right? I've not seen two product managers that approach the profession in the same way. There are always slight differences based on strengths and then manifestations on how you can approach the job. But one thing I've seen in all the product managers that I have loved working with and I look up to, it's those things. Yeah, you cannot just stop them. Like the thing, I think the way to think about it is think of if a product manager, if this guy is your enemy, will you be able to sleep well? If you want to know if someone will be a good product manager, right? If this guy is your enemy, will you be able to sleep well? Because all your
Yeah.
enemy do, they'll constantly be tugging at your
Yeah.
weaknesses, constantly be waiting for you. They are always there. They are never going around. They are just always there. Understand? Then one day you capitulate and then they have
Mhm.
it. So that's the way to think about it. Someone that is resilient, someone that learns very, very fast, someone that has a lot of will, a lot of ambition, and a very, very strong opinion of how the world should be.
Wow, that's a whole starter pack right there for like it's pretty detailed, resilient, fast learner, learning how to learn, being able to influence people without making it look forceful, being able to keep communication going, constantly communicating. That's pretty detailed. Let me give you an analogy.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, when someone who knows how to drive,
Yeah.
right, sit in the front of a bus. You're not the one driving. There's already a driver,
Mm-hmm.
but you're in front. You're sitting in front, and the way the driver is driving, it's not to your own taste.
Yeah.
You feel like you can drive it. Can product designer, sorry, product managers, can they? Is it possible that product managers sometimes uh they can forget their place, so just to take up the designer's space? And I'm talking about product managers who actually have thorough basic design background, like thorough basic design background. So now imagine the product manager is the one sitting in front and you're sitting next to the product designer, but to you there's a way this driver is supposed to drive. Can they forget their place and just want to take over from the driver?
Yes and no. So I don't see it as forgetting your place. I see product development as a collaborative effort. And while designers might have a very, very big say in how a design is executed, I think, like I mentioned, one of a very good this thing of a solving the problem in a way I think for the user I've defined, then I'm going to push back. It doesn't matter what my place is, whether or not
Yeah.
I am in it. It's the same way that when an engineer's execution is not meeting the user requirements, or if it's working in his laptop alone, I'm going to push back. That does not mean that if he gives me the laptop and says, "Oh, yeah, come and code it," I will know how to code it. But the very big part of product management is defining success, right? And if
Yeah.
you own the
Yeah.
definition of success, then everything that is a collaborative participator in the process that should result in success must pass. It doesn't matter who you are. Are you the designer? You must pass. Are you the engineer? You must pass. Are you the QA? You must pass. Are you it doesn't matter who you are in the data scientist, all of you are going to be held to the
Mhm.
same standards, which is the definition of success that the product manager has put there before, right? That definition of success is not something that product managers do alone. It's also something that they do
Yeah.
collaboratively with a lot of stakeholders. It's also something that they have the responsibility to ensure that all stakeholders align and agree that that is what
Hmm.
success looks like. When everybody aligns that is what success looks like, you can then not bring a design that does not meet this and expect me to just be like, oh, you're the designer, you said that this is the way, all praise and glory be to you. That's not
Yeah.
the way to
Yeah.
use the work. Yeah. So that's the way I think about it. It's a
Yeah.
collaborative effort. And because it's collaborative, there's going to be a lot of conversation, there's going to be a lot of rules and talks. But at the end of the day, it's finding the balance where everybody is happy. And the happiest person in that balance should be the user, by the way.
Yeah. Which would actually prompt my next question, which when you're handling a project, right? Whose side are you on as a product manager? Are you on the client side or the designer side or on the user side?
I think it's the user that pays all of us. It's
Yeah.
without the user, there'll be no product manager, there'll be no product designer,
Mhm.
there'll be no organization, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, you start from the user side, but the thing about life is that sometimes there are going to be always trade-offs to make,
Mhm.
right? If we had the thing to deliver the ideal solution for the, if you had the ability, in short, the product manager is to try at all times to
Mhm.
deliver the ideal solution for the user without sacrificing anything for the organization or the technology, to use available technology to deliver the best solution for the user without making any trade-offs for the organization,
Yeah.
right? Everybody lives happy, win, win, win.
Yeah.
Everybody's a winner, right? But in life, it's not always like that.
Yeah.
You might have an ideal solution, but the technology to execute that solution is not there. Or the technology to execute the solution is there, but if you execute that solution using that technology, the person that you're building the ideal solution for will not be able to afford it.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And if they are not able to afford it, they will just stay in their non-consumption or they'll stay in the way that they've been using. So that product fails. Right. So you now have to be like, okay, I might not be able to solve this problem 100% using this expensive technology. But if I swap out A for B, which reduces the cost by 70%.
Yeah.
This solution might not be 100%, it will go
Yeah.
75% of the way. Will the user still pay
The
for
user
it? So
still pay for
these
it.
are all the
Exactly.
trade-offs that you have to make. Or you can find a solution that, oh, the technology is perfect, this thing is perfect, but no user will pay for it. All
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You know, there are solutions like that. People love it, but they'll never pay for it. They
Hmm.
love it as a
Yeah.
free thing, but they'll
Yeah.
never pay for it.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's finding all that balance. But for the product manager, you're supposed to first of all take care of the user and then go from there.
Hmm. That's beautiful. What are some challenges you have personally faced working with teams of designers as a product manager?
The thing is that in every organization, you are going to have, in every project you work in, you are going to have constraints. You understand? For
Yeah.
instance, the most beautiful thing to execute might add 4 months to the timeline for shipping for engineers,
Hmm.
right? You can make this landing page in this way. And me as a product manager, I agree with you that, wow, this is the landing page, right? But maybe we just don't even, let's start from the beginning. We don't even have the technical depth to execute it on the engineering side at all, right?
Yeah.
You can then not say as a product manager, I'm going to insist on this, that we must deliver it like this when you don't have the technical depth to execute it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, you can have to now talk to the designer and be like, what's the next best thing that we can do that is executable, that is not as good as this? And designers often don't like going back on what's ideal, right? Because to get there took a lot of pain to get there. To then tell me that after going all through all this, I should now scale down this solution I've done beautifully well to something that is less as beautiful, less as amazing, is something that a lot of designers struggle with, right? There's also the one for
Hmm.
timelines, right? Designers like to take their time in a lot of ways, but we also need the thing out by a particular time so that someone else can begin work on it. We don't have all day to ship, right?
Yeah.
If we had all day to ship, it will not be a company. We are always running against time.
Yeah.
So there are those constraints to also like watch out for, right? There's also over designing, obviously, which can happen, but I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just the right energy. If someone over designs, it means that they're thinking very, very carefully about the problem. It's just for you to explain, oh, this is where and where I feel we might be doing too
Hmm.
much, and this is where I feel we're doing enough. So there is that. But again, it's like as a product manager, you are a cross-functional manager. So I also have at Norebase now, I have legal engineers on the product team. So I also have my issues with everybody,
Yeah.
engineers too are there, management too is there, even the user.
Yeah.
The user
Even
that
the
is
user
fighting,
got
you are fighting
problem.
for fighting against you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So
Thank you for listening to this episode on the Designstration podcast with Ufot Ubon. If you enjoyed this episode, kindly leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts. You can also suggest a topic or ask a question by filling out the form in the description below. We also appreciate when you share this podcast with friends and other creatives, even as you make plans to join us again next time. as we bring you more insightful conversations like this. Design plus illustration equals designstration.